Hey everyone, we're going to start part one of the Firebird series of videos here that I'm doing. First thing I want to address is a question that Victor Lopez had about what all steps I go through to prep the body and get it ready for paint. So that's a fairly straightforward thing, nothing difficult about it. What we have here right now is I've got the nose piece actually glued into place. The hood's glued into place. This is going to be a slammer car, so, and the rear tail section is on. And once all the glue set up and was pretty dry, I go on the inside, especially on all my slammer builds, and I will put a spot of super glue in all four corners, or somewhere, and hit it with accelerator. That way this stuff that's glued in, it's going to stay in place, and you've got to wet sand and do all that on it. It'll stay put with the super glue. It won't move around. And when you're kind of shaving from like the fender to the hood to make sure everything lines up good, it won't move up and down and change what you're sanding. Same thing with the tail panel in the back, and also with the nose piece, a little spot of super glue in each corner of it. And then after I get all that done, I go in, and if the body has any sink marks or anything like that, I'll try to find them just with a quick sand over the body and see what it looks like. This one here was actually in pretty good shape, so I didn't have to worry about that a whole lot. It actually looks pretty decent. But the one thing I would recommend that all of you get is a set of these sanding sticks. These are from Alpha Abrasives, and the black ones, black and gray, are the heaviest. This is a 100 and a 180, and then you move up to the blue and the light blue, and then you'll move up to the white. That's white on both sides, but there's actually two different grits here. These things are very handy, and I use them for, like, in particular on this car here, the hood was just a little bit lower than the edge of the fender, so with the hood glued into place, I went ahead and rolled the edge of this fender down to meet the level of the hood, and these work real well for that. Now, after you've got that step out of the way and you're just about ready to start pretty much sanding the entire car and getting it ready and prepped for paint, I use just simple old 3M wet and dry paper, 800 grit, and I'll go in and just tear off a piece, roughly about that size right there. You don't need anything real big. You can do this one of two ways. You can hold it just like that and sand with it, or you can fold it if you want to. I like to leave the paper kind of flat. It doesn't create that crease in it. And when I'm wet sanding with that, this is just plain water I have in a throwaway bowl here with a little bit of dishwashing liquid in it. Now watch some of your dishwashing liquids, because they have moisturizers in them and stuff like that. That's the kind you do not want. You just want a plain old dishwashing liquid, like Dawn or something like that. None of this fancy stuff that's easy on your hands and all that, because it will affect your paint. And just basically dip your paper in that, and you're going to wet sand the entire car. I usually start with the roof and then come down the B pillars and the A pillars and get all that stuff first, and then do everything on top, and then just work front to back on the car and sand everything out. And that'll tell you where you have any sink marks or bad areas or anything like that. And then after that stage, if I need any more what I call heavy work, I'll go back in with the sanding stick and work areas wherever I need them addressed. And the next step after that is I will take the body and go out to the sink, and with the water running, I will take the 800 grit that we used before and sand the entire body under the running water. And then just make sure the body is nice and clean. And I usually have a brush out there at the sink where I can come in and brush a lot of the panel lines and stuff out and get all the junk out of them, or most of it anyway. And another little trick that I do at this stage is to sharpen a toothpick and Very easy thing to do. The toothpick is pretty sharp to begin with, but it doesn't quite get down in your panel lines. So just sharpen it off with your number 11 blade, and then pretty much just come in and run it along your panel lines, like around the doors here and at the bottom edge of the rocker panel. And what this does is it gets all the sanding residue out of your recessed lines, because that's one thing you do not want to paint over top of, because once you do, it's pretty much in there permanently, and you will never make a clean panel line after that. So make sure all your panel lines are cleaned out real nice. And like in this car here, there's a step where the glass goes in. Take the toothpick and go around all of that in that corner. And same thing on the side glass on this car. It's set up the same way. Windshield is too. Go around all those points and clean that out real good. And when I'm sitting here at the bench, I have another wider brush that I use, that I'll go in after the toothpick and brush all this area out and just clean all the lines and everything up. And you'll notice I have the gloves on for this. A lot of times I don't use the gloves, but on this one, since I'm under such a tight schedule, I can't have anything go wrong with this, so I'm taking all the precautions. So these are just regular old latex gloves without the powder on them. You don't want the ones with the powder. And these come in real handy because it keeps the oil off your fingers. It keeps it from getting on the model, and that will affect the paint, primer, paint, base coat, whatever you're going to put on it. It'll also affect clear coats. So as far as prepping the body, I mean, that's the stage I'm at right now. This body's pretty close. I got a couple more things I need to do to it, just to address some bad areas on it, and I'll take it back out and wash it off again in the sink. And then we will go over to the spray booth, and I will show you the first stage that I go through on final prep of this body and getting it ready. So that video will be coming up here shortly, probably within about the next hour or so, so stay tuned for that one. So like always, if you have any questions or concerns, just leave me a comment on the video, and I'll get back to you on that. So I'm going to let you go on that. We'll thank you for watching, and we'll talk to you later.